Call the meeting to order. First thing we'll do is we have pledge allegiance, all with students from Garden City High School.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item B, we'll take a moment for silent reflection. Thank you. Okay, item C, approval of the agenda. With one amendment that there will be no executive session today.
Mr. President, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? There is none. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, item D, delegation of public comments. Do we have any? No one wants? All right. Easy enough. Item D1, election of Board of Education officers. Consider a resolution to extend term of board officers.
Mr. President, I move to adopt the resolution to extend term of board officers.
I'll second.
Again, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, item D2, the School Board Recognition Month.
I'm up already, huh?
You're up.
Okay. So yeah, it is School Board Recognition Month, and so I believe Mr. Tone handed out a sleeve for you all to put your laptops in, buffalo sleeves, but I also have some certificates for you all. I'll have you come up one at a time to give your certificate, and then at the end, I think Roy wants to get a picture of all the board members together. If we could have you come up at the end to do a group one. So first, Miss Katie. Welcome aboard, Katie. This is her very first board meeting, so.
Look at that. You
Go.
board.
Thank you. Wow.
Mark? Mark serves as our vice president, and this is year 3 that we're going into for Mark, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Uh-huh. Randy? Randy Ralston's our board president, going into year 4.
Board, yeah.
Yep. Randy's our elder statesman of boardsmanship. Thank you,
sir.
Randy.
Appreciate
you. Robin? Second year is our board member as well, correct? 3rd year. Oh yeah, going into year 3. All right.
I don't know if that's a bad thing.
Time flies when you're having so much fun. Jacob Jenkins is also very first board meeting, so welcome, Jacob. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Sir? And Rebecca? Rebecca Swinders, first board meeting as well. So, thank you, Rebecca. And lastly, Pastor Heck. Nathan's going into year 3 with us as well as our board member. So 3rd year, yep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you. All right, board, let's come on up. We'll do a quick picture with everybody. You want them behind the sign, Roy, I'm guessing?
Just like right here.
With your
Oh.
framed certificate. If you would please. Just like that.
Front?
Yes.
Let us get directions. I'm gonna go over here by the short people.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah, keep a track.
Appreciate you taking the time to serve on the board. I know that you're certainly not doing it for all the money that you're making, and so appreciate you taking the time to give back to the community.
Josh? Item D3 is a building presentation. Ryan Mean, Principal, Garden City High School.
So my part's going to be really fast. First, though, we want to echo what Mr. Guyman said. We do appreciate all the work that you guys have done, are doing, and will do. We're kind of high maintenance at Garden City High School. There's a lot going on, and so we certainly appreciate you guys and the time that you volunteer for our students. I'm going to introduce Mr. Logan Bevis, and then I'm going to step out of the way here. He is the new principal of the Trade and Health Academy. And when Mr. Nordby asked us to do a building presentation, we wanted to highlight our Future Farmers of America group because they are doing lots and lots of good things. And so Mr. Bevis is going to do a quick little introduction.
Thank you guys for having us. I know they're really excited to present. You can tell they're all dressed up and ready to go. You know, I don't have a whole lot to add because they're going to go through and walk you through all the different things FFA does. I think in this role, for me, one of the cool things I've learned is that they do a lot more than you would think when you hear the name. A lot of times you're thinking just farming, dealing with animals. One of the really cool things that they do, and they'll talk about, is the leadership side of things, the speeches. I know Mr. Ming and I have sat in rooms with these guys as they've been pitching different things to us to try and advocate for themselves. They don't have Mr. Anderson or Mrs. Huck, their sponsors, come and talk to us. They do it themselves, and I think that's one of the really cool things that FFA does. But I don't want to steal the air from them. I'll let them introduce themselves and kind of give you guys more information about the program.
So my name is Jocelyn Main. I am the chapter president. Today we're kind of just going to give you an overview of what we've done so far, and then I'll let them introduce themselves as well.
I'm Andy Heckle. I'm serving as the chapter treasurer.
I'm Kenan Merle. I'm serving as the reporter.
I'm Claire Ford, and I am the sentinel.
And my name is Kate Anderson. I'm the first year ag advisor with this group. We've been having a really good year, really proud of how the kids are done. I'll also be brief and I'll go take a seat. FFA is very student led, so real proud of these kids and I'll let them take it away.
So for the first thing that we've done this year as officers, we had a officer retreat in Colorado Springs where we practiced going over parliamentary procedures and just getting to know each other better. In this, we were able to have a lot more fun, and sadly, our other two officers were not able to join us. Taylor Hoke, our vice president, and Macy Hands, our secretary. And then this is also another picture from there where we were doing FFA yoga, where you kind of, your parts and you each do like some sort of thing to wake you up, and it was really cool.
Our second thing was the back to school barbecue. So with FFA, it's a big recruiting opportunity, especially with such a big school and especially with such a really good academy with trade and health. And so for us, our first thing was just kind of to get back into the go of things and make sure that, you know, everyone's kind of in their order and making sure everyone's coming back for a club, which is student led. So this is a good opportunity for, you know, recruiting freshmen or either we have a whole bunch of new kids from, you know, juniors to seniors that are willing to join the group, which was it's a really cool thing. So this was a good opportunity.
We also partook in the homecoming parade for the high school where we had to float, and we also helped with the cornhole tournament following the parade.
The Kansas State Fair was also something that was kind of different for us. We also have a brand new ag leadership class, which us officers took, and also some of our leaders in the club took, and which was a cool thing. It was something brand new to the high school, and it's even growing the next semester too, which was really fun. And so for our first kind of thing that we did as a whole class is we started and doing projects and to listen to the Kansas State Fair. We also had 3 individuals show livestock. I did pigs. We had a whole bunch of people do cattle and goats as well. So it was just kind of fun to reach that new level of state fair. You would think of 4-H, but FFA does it as well. So this was really fun.
One of our first events was land judging. We started off in Scott City. It was kind of like a practice. So for kids who didn't really know how to land judge, like me, didn't really know what to do, but going to Scott City and learning how to do it really prepared us for our district land judging competition in Coldwater, where we had lots of placings and we did pretty good as an overall team. And I think everyone just really learned a lot and had a great time.
For this next slide, it actually shows us doing dairy and cattle judging and milk quality. I'm going to be talking about the dairy judging portion. Basically, we went and we judged the cows and heifers and made sure that they were actually good. And in it, we did really well. We placed in the top 5 as a team. And then Andy's going to talk about the milk quality.
So I was a part of our senior milk quality team. We worked on the different types of cheeses. We worked on milk and their quality and its off flavors. And our senior team actually is headed to state for milk quality.
So also kind of the first thing that we really should have done as a district was have the green hand contest. It's a really good opportunity for recruitment, which in a growing student-led organization nationally, we have over 1 million overall students. So this is kind of the big thing is recruitment and keeping that number high and growing. So the green hand is probably the most important event that we will, be a part of all year, just because you see the new future, the future of agriculture, of course, but also the future of this organization, which, freshmen, it leads to that. So it was a good opportunity for recruitment, but also for officer training as well, where you get to learn more about leadership and experience and work on your skills, which was a good thing as well.
So entomology and the classification of insects was a new one to our chapter. And that was where we took 2 of our teams and had one of us place 4th individually and one place 10th individually. You work on the different types of insects around Kansas and you get to know your landscape a lot better.
And we did horse judging at the Horse Palace also. This was combined with entomology. Basically, we went and we judged horses. We learned which horses are the best for certain things, like rodeo, I think is one of the big ones. But it was really cool to go and see all different kinds of horses and meet all sorts of new people. It's also really helpful with communication skills, like giving reasons at the end. That's helped a lot with me. And I know, so yeah, that's horse.
Our chapter lock-in activity was to get our new members kind of associated and more comfortable with our officers and kind of break that barrier of these are our officers and these are our members. Everybody is a collective and we're all important. And we all stayed there until about 11 p.m. with help of our Mr. Ming and Mr. Bevis. We talked to them and we got permission to stay there, and we had movies, games, and a big volleyball tournament that ended pretty well.
Another thing that we have done so far is an alumni night where we actually recruited people to be a part of an alumni chapter, which is basically just typically they have to be graduated from high school, and adults typically is what they are. They will all join together to help support our chapter. They're basically like their own associated chapter. And so at this, we were able to do opening ceremonies, and the Kansas Association came out and were able to kind of let them know what they need to have done to be recognized as an official alumni chapter.
The Barnyard Olympics was something that was brand new to our chapter. A big thing and a part of our growth as a chapter was trying to get the saying out of like FFA and our chapter to our students, not just for a recruiting opportunity, but also just to know what agriculture is about and what our club is about. And so for us, what we did is we had a whole bunch of kind of fun games that we did where there was milk chugging, there was hay toss baling, or no, there was hay bale toss, sorry. And it was just a really fun ordeal that a lot of kids went to, which was really good because a lot of kids don't know about agriculture. And so that's kind of a big part of FFA. So just to get that out to our student body was a big deal.
And in that, we're also starting a traveling trophy, which football won this year.
I was the coordinator for our bake day. It was not only used as a chapter bonding, but also a community involvement. We went to our new fire and EMS station and delivered those baked goods. And we used it to bring some of our members together who haven't had those fun experiences. And we got to bake, and thankfully the Church of the Brethren allowed us to do this. And we got to talk and actually take a tour of that new EMS station.
Nothing caught on fire.
And then we did floriculture, horticulture, ag communications, and employability skills all on the same day. We had, I think, almost our entire chapter there, not only to compete, but also there to help and make sure things ran smoothly. Our ag communications team did pretty well. Our employability skills was an individual event, and we had 3 in the top 10 move on to finals. And then myself is going to, or I'm going to state for this as well. So we did resumes, cover letters, job descriptions, and job applications to be able to go to this. And I think it worked a lot on future employment, and it helped calm some of the nerves of doing a job interview.
So one thing that we do as a chapter every year is we help out with the Break East Pioneer Dinner. In it, we just basically are helping serve foods and drinks and getting all the tables set up and everything just prepared. And then after it's all done, we end up taking all the tables down. And it's really a good experience because we get to meet a lot of community members, and we get a free meal out of it. So that's always good. Another big thing that our chapter did was the parliamentary procedures. Us as an officer got first in leadership school overall. We got first for parliamentary procedures, third for rituals, and then we had several individuals placed in the top 10 for the tests. So we are going to state for the parliamentary procedures. We also had a conduct of chapter meetings team, which is for green hands. It's essentially a simpler version of parliamentary procedures, and they also got first. They will be going to state as well.
Green hand means freshman. It's kind of a new term for FFA. So.
And in it, so we had, we also had creed speaking, which Ken will be talking about.
Yeah, so for creed speaking, it's kind of freshman only, and it's really kind of the motto of FFA. It's very passionate, and it's very important that you get the words right. It's kind of the start of our organization as a whole, and so it's very important, especially as an FFA member in your growth. So for us, we had one English, and we also had a Spanish speaker, which was kind of new to our chapter, which was really fun, and they were both really competitive. They both won their actual individual events, which was really, really fun. So they will both be going on to state just to represent the chapter, which will be really fun.
This was our Christmas party. We had lots of fun. We played games. I think we watched a movie. I wasn't really sure, but we just really had a good time with our chapter bonding. And it's really fun to do this every once in a while, meeting new people. We had several people join in late, so it was good to, I guess, meet them.
For our Farm Bureau discussion meet, it's really fun because Farm Bureau is also a huge part of just the growth in the agriculture, especially here locally for Garden City. And so for them to merge with FFA for a couple contests that are also coming up. But for ag communications, it's kind of one of my favorites because all you're doing is talking with other people. And so it's really kind of cool to see how thoughtful and how important it is for these kids, especially with agriculture and their future. So for us to have different topics and discuss at such a high level, especially as high schoolers, was really something that was kind of breathtaking for me. And we had a really good day. We had a lot of people stay for semifinals, and then we also had I placed top 10. So it was a really good day overall.
So far, for the last thing that we've done this school year is train the trainer, where last Thursday we went to Holcomb High School and we learned about how we can teach younger kids about agriculture, and in it we practiced giving impromptu speeches and presentations. We learned about different activities that we can do for the youth. And really, we just look forward to being able to do a lot more things. In a few weeks here, we're going to be doing speeches, extemporaneous, and ag sales. And we have a bunch of other events planned for this year that we're excited to do. So thank you for letting us be here today.
I think that's all we have.
Is there any questions?
How many members do you guys have?
We have about 20 active members. It's probably the biggest we've been in several years, actually.
So when you say your chapter, what does that encompass?
So Garden City High School and the students there.
But we're not an affiliated school, so not every single kid in our chapter or in our ag classes are gonna be in FFA. It's them taking the extra step of the extracurricular.
I kind of like it that way because you have more hands-on experience with a lot more selective few. You know, and if people want to go and join and be productive and actually join and have fun, you know, they can make their way out into our club. But, you know, I just think it's a really good opportunity for us to be more competitive, but also you grow stronger if you have, you know, less people. So it's really fun.
What do you mean by affiliated school? Sorry.
Basically, it means that anyone who takes agriculture classes in school is immediately a part of FFA. But we have it to where you actually have to sign up to be a part of FFA. And basically it just helps since our chapter has to pay dues. And if in that grade school, we have to pay dues for every single kid who took an agriculture class in high school.
A lot more fundraising, a lot more stuff added to our PO.
Yes.
So as a question, it's a comment. You guys obviously are, you've done a good job, and I can tell you're motivated and that, and you're well-spoken and you're prepared, and I appreciate that. And the efforts, it doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, it's not easy to get up here and talk, like even from where we're at. So you guys seem very comfortable. Good job.
All right, any other questions?
I agree. I was in FFA. It's really good. You learn a lot of people and a lot of skills that help future in your life.
Definitely gets you out of your comfort zone, because 2 years ago, as a freshman, I would not have been doing this.
Yeah, if you didn't talk to me as a freshman, I could never imagine being chapter president.
What grade are you guys in?
I'm a sophomore.
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore?
Senior.
Senior.
Justin, you can't be a senior.
Yeah, Jaden's a freshman.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
And then if you want a pin, there's pins also. They want to eat, or wants a picture, so.
Okay.
Keep moving ahead, you guys. Such a good.
Thank you.
Come on. Okay.
Oh.
Did it?
Wait, not too.
Let's get over. There you go. Come on.
Balanced out.
One more. There you go. Right. Now we're going.
Now we're good. Let's get over. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, just take it out.
Thank you. Great job.
Good job. Congratulations.
Good
Thank
job.
you. Nice job. Appreciate it. Good job.
Should we be shaking?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes. I thought you looked like her. I'll have to let her. Yes, tell her Katie.
This year might be. But we have like.
Oh, we're excited.
Yes, you did.
I think you learn. I've learned how to run.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thank y'all for having us. Appreciate it.
I know.
And it makes me that some adults in my life that as I've been part of groups, board, whatever.
I wasn't sure how.
Yeah, so it is. Good job. Leadership skill.
Okay, we'll move on to item E for the consent agenda.
President, I move to approve all consent agenda items as presented.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? There's none. All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Item F, new business. F1, the Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the following curriculum council items. This is a first read. Dr. Virginia Duncan, Director of Secondary Education, or Instruction, I'm sorry.
Hello again.
Hello.
I am bringing to you, I know it feels like I come up here quite a bit to bring new courses to you. We have been, since the beginning of the school year, going through and revamping some of the courses that have been changed because of the pathway changes at the state level. So we've been doing, Emily Hamlin likes to call this her autopsy of the courses that we're offering to make sure that we're in alignment with the state. So she's been doing a deep dive into that. And so what you see before you is an extensive list of things that we need to make some changes with to make sure that our CTE pathways have the correct names and that they line up with the pathway changes that were brought at the end of September. So part of that list is those. And then the other portion of that is making sure that our courses that we offer for dual credit have the correct names to make sure they get the correct credit as they go on to college. So that's the biggest part of that list that is on there. I know that there's a big spreadsheet that has all the information for you to kind of take a deeper look at. And then we have a few other courses that we are adding that support. One, the stagecraft class is brand new. It is not a CTE course, but it does explore various careers in different theater and performing arts options there for students to kind of take a look at. And then also we have a couple of courses, or 3 of them, that are offering some additional credit. So those are on there as well. I'm just here to answer any kind of questions that you had for those. This is probably going to be the largest list of courses we bring to you because she really did take a deep dive into all the changes that needed to happen for the CTE changes from the state. That was the biggest one.
I assume there's interest for all of these classes, the new ones especially.
Mm-hmm.
But we have teachers to cover those, right?
Yes, that's always, some of what we do is make sure that it gets it's approved so that then we are able to gauge interest and have students enroll in it. If we don't have it on the books, then we can't offer it. So if we have everything all lined up and prepared and it's clearly laid out, then we can offer it and then we can gauge that interest. But yes, we do have teachers that, usually we can figure out a way to make it work in scheduling.
I like seeing all the classes that are more like the trade. Not every kid is a 4-year college bound. And so this is really nice to see that we're giving them some training and opportunities to test the waters and see what they might want to do.
Yeah, and it's been really neat to see that the way that they've realigned the CTE course, the pathways too, because it just has allowed us to kind of expand those opportunities with that.
Yeah, I think the CTE courses, they've been great and definitely there's value in them for sure. Okay, any questions? All right, thank you.
So new board members, just so you know, kind of when we do that as a first read, that'll go on the consent agenda for the meeting at the end of January. And so that'll give you guys time, if you have questions or constituents have questions for you, reach out to me and I'll get those answers for you. And then otherwise it just goes on the consent agenda in January for your approval. Okay? Which I think most of the stuff that we talk about tonight is gonna be that way.
Here. Kicked out, so I'm trying to reload it.
Do you need to read the item for the agenda first?
Mr. President, you want me to?
This will be item F2, the Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the 2025 ELA curriculum adoption.
I'm going to ask my K-12 ELA adoption committee members that attended tonight to join me up here so that I can introduce them and also give you a chance to ask them questions at the completion of my presentation. This is definitely not our entire committee. The entire committee is linked in this document and those names are available, but it's about 36 to 40 some people. So that's a lot to have at one meeting. But these are people that attended, all the meetings and were very strong with their input on why we should select what we did. So I asked them to be here tonight to answer your questions. So with me tonight are two elementary teachers, Elaine Mayfield and Katie Unger. One middle school, Sarah Wise, and two high school, Wendy Terpstra and Stephanie Wick. So curriculums that we reviewed this year, I don't know why that's not. Is there a way to fix that? Okay. The curriculums we've reviewed this year were Amplify CKLA, HMH, and SAVIS. We set a timeline of events that we wanted to achieve in order to complete this textbook adoption cycle. I have linked that document in there along with the dates that we were hoping to achieve each of those steps. And I'm not going to go all through that. We've done that at board meetings, but for those of you that are new, if you wanted to reference that, it's there and it's available for you. Our ELA adoption roadmap, this is where I've kind of linked some additional documents. So if you wanted to know the entire ELA adoption team, it is linked at that first circle there. But then the other milestones along the way that we accomplished, and some of those are things that weren't on our original timeline that teachers requested. Those documents and documentation are linked here. Okay, not going to go through those because we have done that at board meetings previously, but they're available for you if you wanted to reference them. On our final voting on November 12th, our teachers voted with 89.3% in agreement that HMH was the best option for our district going forward. I don't know why that's doing that, sorry. I have linked in there the ELA adoption rubric. Dr. Duncan has been doing a lot of work with our curriculum council to update our evaluation and adoption rubrics. And we used those for the first time this year. So that is linked there, but I just gave you the final scores. On the rubric, Amplify scored 19.7, SAVIS was 25.05, and HMH was 28.56. So HMH was clearly ahead of the other options. Some of the strengths of Into Reading, which is the K-5 portion of HMH, I've listed here, and I'm not going to read through all of those, but they're available to you. I will kind of point out a few of them. Some of you are new to the board, so history-wise, our current elementary curriculum benchmark really only addressed vocabulary and comprehension. There was not a strong phonemic awareness and there was not a strong phonics program. So we purchased additional things like Haggerty and UFly to kind of supplement. So a real positive of this curriculum is that it's going to address all of those things without us having to have separate pieces to supplement with. And teachers were excited about that. Secondly, UFly is what we're currently using for phonics instruction. And the phonics instruction in HMH looks very similar to UFly. So it's going to be an easy transition for our teachers to go to this new setup. There won't be as much of a learning curve, and we're likely going to be more effective with our instruction faster because it looks so familiar. Same way with the heart word instruction. Sight words in UFly are taught as heart words. It tells the kids which part of the word follows phonics rules and puts a heart underneath things that don't follow the rules. And that's the same way that it's taught in UFly. So our teachers understand that. It's going to be a very easy transition for our teachers and our students. So that was a real positive when we got into there. Texts are very diverse, engaging, and familiar. A drawback of Benchmark is that it writes its own stories. So they're not stories that kids are going to go in the library and see. This curriculum, HMH, pulls text from the library that kids are reading. So when we did the demo lesson in Megan Ford's room, the kids got in the books and they were like, Judy Moody is in here. I mean, they were super excited because they love those books and they are in this text. So it was cool to see the kids' excitement about it. On the elementary level, and you're going to see it again at the secondary level, teachers were excited about poetry being part of this curriculum. Poetry is frequently on our state assessments, and we don't see enough of it in our current curriculum to really get kids prepared for that poetry. So teachers were excited about that. Writing support, in the 4 years I've been in this office, we've had lots of criticism that our current materials do not support writing enough. And HMH has a strong writing support program, both at the elementary and secondary level. And then for our new teachers really like that the curriculum is scripted. Our veteran teachers, when we get to the weaknesses of into reading, you're going to see scripted again, because experienced teachers don't like things scripted as much as what new teachers do. So feedback was different depending on your level of experience. I've listed the weaknesses that teachers, gave us during those collaborations and when they've filled out rating scales. So I've attached those there. If you wanted to read through that more, it's available to you. I think something that really stood out to me is that teachers are concerned about the site is vast and it's large, and it's going to be overwhelming until we learn how to use it, because there's a lot of materials in there. So it is going to take some training for teachers to feel really comfortable with it and not feel overwhelmed. The strengths of Into Literature, a lot of similarities here as to the elementary, the poetry, the writing instruction, but the secondary levels also liked that there was state assessment practice at the end of each selection. And then signpost, which Sarah could elaborate more on that if you have questions about it, but there's, tags in the curriculum where it kind of alerts kids to things that they may need to think about. Is that a good description?
Yeah, it's helping the students as they learn to annotate things to look for. We've all bought the used college textbook that has everything highlighted and the whole page is yellow. We're really hitting annotation hard, especially with TNTP when they were working with us, and the signpost give the students kind of a hint as to, okay, be looking for this as you're reading this piece. So there's several pieces of the secondary that fit nicely with the TNTP strategies that we've been taught.
I'm only calling you out because I knew that came off your feedback. And then there is an AI tool that will give students feedback on their written work. I know currently at the secondary level, kids do a lot of writing, but it takes time for teachers to grade all those essays and get them back, and for kids to get the feedback. AI tools that are available in HMH are going to give students feedback as they are writing so that they have a quality essay when they turn in their final product. So, it'll give them alerts like you may want to consider putting adjectives in this sentence. Or this is a run-on, you should consider breaking it into multiple sentences. So it gives them that guidance that they would normally get from a teacher, but a teacher with 28 kids in class, they're not going to get feedback from the teacher every day. So the AI kind of is that extra set of hands for them to get that feedback in a more timely manner. Weaknesses of into literature. There is grammar embedded into the lessons, but the teachers felt like it assumes that students have mastered the previous grammar lessons. And if they haven't, we needed more support for the grade level grammar. And I think that has been something that's been an issue for a while, that kids haven't always mastered things at the elementary level, and we need to go back over it at the secondary level, and we need more supporting materials for that. So.
Toss something in
Yep.
there on that. That is a weakness in the actual primary textbook. However, this does come with a supporting grammar textbook that does have practice for those skills that they needed up to that. In the past, it was just, if they don't know it, they're out of luck. Now it is in a separate workbook, but if they still haven't mastered what a proper noun is, here's some practice for the proper noun. So it comes with some of those extra supports without us having to have.
Thank you. And another one, at the high school level especially, they felt like their current materials, which is Springboard, has more diversity of authors than what this curriculum has, meaning more authors that have a Hispanic background, African background, Native American background. They didn't feel like we have as many authors with those diverse backgrounds in this current materials as what they have in their Springboard materials. Again, there's a lot of materials on the site, so it seems a little bit overwhelming at first. So it's definitely going to take some training for teachers to feel comfortable with that site. And then weaknesses, you'll see scripted lessons up there. Our current teachers don't care so much for the scripted lessons, but they are good for especially our newer teachers. And if we're wanting consistency from one room to the next, having that scripted lesson, we know all kids will get certain messaging and a consistent lesson from room to room. Lesson planning, I gave them a 5-point scale. For ease of use, 4.28 out of 5. Organization of physical materials was rated as 4.4 out of 5. And organization of the online materials was rated as a 4 out of 5. One of the other curriculums that we looked at was a little easier on the online platform, because when you open the daily lesson, there were tabs that went down the side of the page, and you just opened those tabs as you progressed through the lesson. In HMH's materials, it'll have a component of the lesson, but you've got to go back to the daily lesson plan to open the next part. So there is some additional in and out that teachers are going to have to do. And then there's some additional strengths and weaknesses that are listed there for you. I won't read through all of those, but they're available for you. And then one of the things that we added to the timeline was demo lessons. So teachers wanted to see what a lesson looks like from start to finish. In our 3rd grade class, and we used the same classrooms at 1st, 3rd, and 7th grade. So we were able to survey the students at the end of the lessons and see what their opinions of each of these curriculums were. So we used Megan Ford's classroom for grade 3, and she just talked to the students at the completion of the lesson and sent me this as their feedback. 3rd grade weren't quite ready for individual rating sheet. So you get kind of the general gist of it from Megan's perspective. And then from the 7th grade, each 7th grade student was emailed a survey at the completion of each of the lessons and basically asked, how did you feel about the lesson? And 7 students loved it. 9 students said it was okay. 1 student said they did not like it at all. What did you like most about it? I got a different answer from every kid, but the ones that were repeatedly coming up were the vocabulary part, the engagement pieces, and they liked learning about synonyms and antonyms. And what could be better? They felt the lessons moved too slow and they wanted more about the story because this wasn't introductory to the unit, so they didn't actually get into the story yet. And then I did ask students, how many of you would go back on your own time and read this story? 12 of them said they would, 5 of them said they probably would not, so. This is the cost breakdown. Sorry, it's not showing up there very well. I'm not sure why this is not centering up there. The total cost for the first year of professional development and all of the K-12 materials, including Amira, which is the reading AI component, is $2.463 million. Do you guys have any questions for me or for the teacher committee?
So that 89%, that was all of the ELA teachers from K through 12.
Correct. I had 2 that didn't vote, but the rest of them voted, and it was 89.3% of them preferred HMH.
Can I ask a question? Just the committee.
Just the committee. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I did not make that clear.
Okay.
Of the committee, of the the teacher list that's on that roadmap.
Okay.
All of them voted except 2. I had 2 that didn't vote, but of them, 89.3%.
Can you explain how you scored the rubric? Was that subjective based off of feedback from the committee, or was that an objective scoring?
So we had teachers come in and we gave them the rubric, asked them to collaborate with a team. And then we had posters for each of the criteria and asked them to go put, first off, what their group decided was the score and why. Give some supporting reasons for why they scored it that way. Now, what you see on that rubric, some of them on a couple of the criteria didn't vote. So in order to make it fair, I didn't want to have total points be reflective of the fact that 2 people didn't vote, be impacted by that. So we averaged it and gave an average score. So on the poster, there was probably, I think, 6 separate groups we had that night. And we averaged their scores, and then that's what went on the rubric.
I have another question about the Amira, the AI component. How does that work? So like the students write or work on the writing component, and then is it, like in Word, I'm old school, you can do the review and then you can just accept all changes and boom, turn it in. Do you?
So Amira is a reading AI.
I think it's kind of an easy, like it'll fix it for them.
No, it's not, it doesn't fix it for them, but that's, Writable is the high school writing AI. And Amira is the elementary reading AI. So they're 2 separate things. Writable comes with the curriculum at no additional cost, but it gives students prompts as they're writing, but it does not correct it for them.
The Amira does the reading, right?
Yeah, Amira does similar with the reading. So kids would have headphones on and there would be sentences that are given to them. And as they're reading it, if they make an error in their reading, Amira will correct their pronunciation. And if they make too many mistakes, it lowers the reading level that they're being presented with so that they stay within a success range.
And I remember, right, Katie, you were here that evening and the HMH showed that, and that gives the teacher then, from those individuals doing that, you get input that you can see someone is struggling and they do need some intervention, correct?
Yeah, I was pretty hard on the HMH rep that night. I had a lot of tough questions for them because I really felt, yeah, I did, sorry. Because I'm a strong believer that we need to be listening to our children read, especially in the foundational level, like when we're teaching foundational skills, and putting them with technology to me is scary. But I felt like HMH answered all of my questions and I feel better about it. And one of the questions that I had was, how long are we expected to have kids on this? It was no more than 5 minutes a day, meaning like 20 minutes a week was the max. I would get on board with that. I struggled, it will change with the dialect, so a lot of our kids that don't speak just like Katie Under, they might speak a little differently. It will make corrections as they go, so they understand how the kids are speaking, which is very interesting to me, and I really thought that was great. And then it will prompt them, not give them the answer, it will prompt them with, like if the sentence that they made an error on was maybe a vowel team, it would prompt them on, oh, you made an error with this vowel team. Let's go and review vowel teams with you and then go back to the sentence. And I thought that was a great thing as well. And then I can go as the teacher and look at the data and see where they're making their errors and then make adjustments when I'm pulling the kids with small groups or meeting with them. So they answered a lot of my questions. I was worried the teachers would just use that as a babysitter and say, oh, here, go read to that. And then I'm gonna check and look at the data. And I think that's gonna come, I know the board and our leaders are gonna be explicit in how they expect teachers to teach with that tool. So I feel better about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a compliment. You had a lot of questions, which was good because I sat there and I learned, I'm not a teacher. I learned a lot from the conversation and I felt like when it was done, you felt pretty good with what they had presented. Because I felt there was some anxiety prior to that.
Oh, yeah, I came in guns blazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to not
Yeah.
like H&H. I came in hardest on them and they answered all the questions thoughtfully. The curriculum, at least what I was looking at, granted, I'm looking strictly like K2, those foundational reading skills. They presented a great product out of the three. Savis was saying, well, you can still supplement when you fly. And that's a big red flag. That was a big red flag for me that kind of sealed the deal that I was not going to get on board with that.
One of the things they covered with us at Mondays in Service from the state was one of the most effective things in helping students improve their writing is editing and feedback. And like Heather mentioned, if I've got 95 students, by the time I get through them all to give them feedback for them to go back and re-edit, so much time has passed. One of the nice things with this is it does give them that chance to do that feedback, that editing immediately while they're in the moment, while they're thinking about it. It's not replacing it. I'm not just gonna be like, oh, they said they get a B. But it does allow them to use the most effective tool in helping improve their writing in a timely manner.
So I had several questions about Amira. So have we tested it in any of our classrooms here? Like, was that part of the lessons that we got to do? Or have we tested to see like, what does it look like? What does it sound like when the kids are doing this? And, or if we haven't done that here, have we talked to districts that have used it before? And what kind of feedback do they have for this? Because I assume it's a fairly new technology. So like, is it effective in helping kids to learn?
Amira's been around a while, but I think that it's better with the newer AI. As AI has improved, it's gotten better. I did send out surveys because that is something that teachers asked for was input from districts that have adopted these curriculums. And if they had to do it again, would they still stay with the same product? I did not get things back from any of them except CKLA. CKLA, I had sent the survey to Holcomb and they had a few teachers that filled it out. This is the newest version of HMH, so there aren't a lot of districts using it yet. And the ones that I sent to are not local. And so I didn't get the feedback from them. And we did not demo Amira like with students, but we did see good demonstrations of it when they came here and did their presentations with us.
Okay, so then if we're going to be, because that's not part of the curriculum necessarily, that's something that we're choosing in addition, yes, to supplement. So how will we be like assessing if the program is worth it? Are we, because this is a 7-year adoption, so how are we deciding that this is worth it and this has been, you know, a good purchase and that we're seeing?
Right. I think some of the things that we're pretty excited about is the data reports you're gonna get from that. Because it's not just correcting the students' reading, there are reports that are then gonna say, they're struggling with vowel teams, go to this part of the lesson for small group to do a reteach of that skill. So it's not entirely the feedback that they're getting on the reading, it is the supporting feedback that teachers are gonna get to go back and do direct instruction.
Okay. And do they get that feedback for each individual child or as a group?
No, for each individual child.
So currently Heather has us tracking, and like our Google Drive, our U-Fly test. And the way that we're tracking it is quite a lot of work as far as concept versus total points. I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But when I go back and look repeatedly, like, oh, this child is missing their hard words, meaning they're not picking up on how to spell those. I like the idea of having a mirror in the sense that data is gonna do that for me a little bit and take some of the load off of me. Cause I'm doing that currently with my U-Fly assessments every week. And to enter in that data and then to look at that data, and then every week I'm changing my groups that I'm working with and changing what we're doing. One day we're doing encoding, one day we're doing decoding. To have that in real time.
You can spend more time analyzing the data rather than
how
having
I'm
to
gonna-
manually enter.
Yes, because I'm spending at a bare minimum between giving the assessment, as scoring the assessment and entering it in. That's 45 minutes to an hour every week. And I do that because I love my kids and I want them to succeed. But I think having that data done for me would be very beneficial.
I know I've been asked by the board multiple times about how can we take things off teachers' plate? And these tools are those things that take things off teachers' plates. Because it is very time consuming to do the data analysis and things. The computer's doing that part for you and telling you, this is where to go to get the materials to teach. Because that's what we want teachers doing, is teaching. So some of those side things that are incredibly important, if these supplemental tools can do that, it gives teachers more time to teach.
That was actually another question that I had is like, what programs then will we see maybe go by the wayside if we're doing this? Like, are we still gonna be doing things like iReady, other?
We haven't done iReady in a long time.
Okay, I'm trying to remember, what is it that you guys are doing?
Fast
now?
Forward they used to do, but we haven't had that in a couple of years either. We've really been like really condensing things down. So at the elementary level, we have Benchmark, U-Fly, and Haggerty. Benchmark teaching comprehension and vocabulary. U-Fly, the phonics and fluency, and Haggerty phonemic awareness. We would then have this product that covers all of that.
Okay, so all of those additional things this would cover all of that. Cool. So then what kind of, sorry, I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's okay.
Like, what kind of time frame are we looking at for training teachers? And have we already kind of planned out like these professional development days or this planning time or that kind of stuff?
We have scheduled for HMH to be here on April 6th because teachers said they want some training before they go home for summer so they can spend some time planning. I do have some teachers that will attend that and then probably not do anything with the curriculum until we get close to students coming back. So we're gonna have a second training on July 30th, which is 2 weeks before kids come back, so that we get an opportunity to kind of refresh teachers and give them enough time between that training and when kids get there that they can plan effectively and be prepared for kids to be there the first day with lessons.
So this will be put into effect then fall?
Yes, we will start in August with this. April 6th is our district PD day. Our K2 teachers will spend half a day with the presenter, our 3-5, the other half a day. And we're gonna do the same thing with middle school, high school. 6-8 will be with them for half a day, 9-12 with a different presenter half a day. And then July 30th is an optional training, and they'll do the half-day trainings, but the presenter's gonna stay for the other half a day to support the teachers in planning their first weeks of lessons. So they'll get that training again on here's the materials, here's how to use it, and then you guys go use it, and we're here to answer questions if you're struggling to find something you need.
Yeah, I was then gonna ask, like, will we be doing like follow-up trainings throughout the school year to kind of?
We have 2 additional days contracted throughout the school year. And we have the possibility of adding more, but we wanted to get through those 2 and then see what teachers need after that. Because materials and professional development come out of different line items, we can purchase as we go for the PD. It's a separate budget.
For the students, will it be easier for them to use this instead of what we have currently?
Materials?
Yep.
Yes. I think another thing, most of the positives that I put on there were things that came directly from teachers. From a district administrator perspective, I think a challenge that we have in this district is that we have 4 separate ELA curriculums. We have a preschool curriculum, Connect for Learning. We have a K-5 curriculum, Benchmark. We have a 6-8 curriculum, My Perspectives, and 9-12 Springboard. That is a lot of transitions for kids. And so we now are going to have a K-12 curriculum. There's going to be consistency. I think when you switch from one curriculum to the next, there are things at the middle school level that My Perspectives is assuming kids have learned in their MyView program, but we didn't buy MyView. We were using Benchmark. So there are gaps there that I think we're gonna have much better luck not having those gaps because we're using one consistent product. Well, 2 consistent products. The HMH doesn't have a preschool program, so we have something separate for preschool, but K-12, we're gonna have one consistent and not all those transitions.
For the teachers that want it, once we approve the curriculum and you purchase it, is it available for them to start working on? They're like overachievers.
Yeah, we have, they told us we would need to onboard, and that's a technology thing, but Jason Anderson in our tech department's already been communicating with HMH. They said we could have it up and going to teachers within about 2 weeks.
And we've received emails directly from them saying we are welcome to use all of their materials with all of our students at any point this year. At my school, one of the things we start test running some of the lessons at the end of the year, start spotting some problems, trying to smooth that over. Because beginning of the year is crazy time as is without a brand new curriculum. And HMH is 100% behind that. They said they'll offer any support, technical, curriculum, anything like that. They've been very, very receptive to working with us.
And the physical materials will be here by the end of March. So I think like the week after spring break, those materials will be here so we can get them distributed to teachers before the April 6th PD day. So some of our teachers don't like technology as much as the physical materials, so they have either option to get into.
I also saw that there's I was going through all of the quotes and everything, and there's a Arriba la Lectura. Where is that gonna be getting used? Is that, obviously?
We have the Spanish kindergarten, 1st and 2nd at Buffalo Jump.
That's where I thought.
That is fully Spanish immersion. So yes, we're using it in those classrooms. So, and really HMH is more of a bilingual program. And so they're going to see the materials in English and Spanish, not just Spanish. And I think our current benchmark, the book had Spanish materials, but kids are going to have access to both.
With all this information that you're going to be able to gather here on the students, will this help us do a better job of identifying students that might be dyslexic to get them help? I know we're trying to work with Phillips Fundamental Learning Center on that, but on some other things there, training and stuff, but does this help?
I think we know which kids are kind of struggling with reading. I think our screeners, FastBridge, things like that are telling us kids struggle. What I think HMH is going to be better at is telling us what they're struggling with, and giving us specific information about what they need help and support with, and here's the materials to do it. I don't know that, and maybe teachers can answer this better than me, but do you feel like you don't know which kids are struggling with reading?
We know.
Yeah. So I think that identifying the kids, I mean, whether or not they're dyslexic or struggling with reading in some capacity, we know the kids are struggling. I feel like the gap here has been in our diagnostics that tell us what are they struggling with, what do they need help with, and where are the materials to do that. And I think these materials are gonna
And that's what-
do a better job with that.
So for digital versus physical, like to what extent are teachers using physical or digital? Is it kind of just teacher to teacher or what we prefer? It doesn't play nice with the technology that we have. Because I know there have been sometimes, like we've got Google Classroom and we have Shobi and we have all of these different things that we're trying to integrate all of these things, and it's a lot of logins. Where does this fit into what kind of technology we already have?
This integrates with ClassLink, so the kids shouldn't have to remember logins, nor teachers. So it does integrate. And we currently have an HMH product, in Read 180. Not to say that there's never been problems with Read 180, but the logins and things like that have not been our primary issue. So,
To address your question of physical versus digital, that was last time we did textbook adoption, that was a deal breaker for secondary teachers. We wanted a consumable product. We want the students reading in the books, annotating in the books. Not that there isn't a place for technology and the technological supports and turning in, but when we're actually doing the reading, we wanted something tangible. Last time when we adopted, the microspectrums we adopted was the only option that had that. It was either online or you had to print it out. Apparently companies listened. This time they all had consumables, but that is something that HMH has, is that all the stories in the consumable, so the students can read it right there without the iPads out. They can annotate, they can mark, they can do whatever.
fantastic. Yeah, teachers K-12 were pretty vocal about wanting to have the physical books for students to be reading from and annotating in. That was kind of a must-have.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker for sure.
Is there anything that I missed that you would like to make sure that they know?
I just think the writing component for high school level is going to be great. Because as Wendy and I were chatting, 142 essays to grade in a timely manner is a lot. And this is gonna give them instant feedback. I mean, still grade them. But this will help weed out some of the issues and the rewrites and the continual rewrites to get that final essay. That's gonna be a huge time saver.
I appreciate all that you guys have done. I know we've been at this for a year. I've been in a lot of the meetings and I interacted with all the different curriculums myself, looked at them as, or I were a teacher and went through each one of those things. And so very much appreciate your time, and I ask a lot of questions along the way, so I don't have anything now, but per se, but I just appreciate everything that's going forward, and I'm looking forward to what's gonna come next, so.
Yeah, all of our committee members did an amazing job. I think the publishers that came in said, you know, our team had some really challenging questions. And they felt like they really had to be on their toes with, when they came in here, they couldn't just, you know, throw out bells and whistles and hope that people grabbed at it. I mean, they asked some really hard questions. Katie, you know, HMH, I think really, sorry, left here.
No, don't be sorry.
No, I mean, that's why we asked these committee members to be on it, is we wanted that kind of scrutiny going into the process. So they did a great job.
And the money for this has been set aside over years, so it's sitting there ready.
That's Jessica question.
It did come in a lot higher than we anticipated, but there are funds available in the textbook fund. It pretty much depletes it. So any cash reserves at the end of the year, you'll see transferring into textbooks for the next adoption, which is science.
Science, music, and art.
And I would say that the original quote that we got, Heather's worked her tail off the last probably 5 or 6 weeks with them when we kind of knew this direction that we were gonna go. She's been going back and forth with the company. What if we took this off? What if we did this? And kind of giving them all kinds of different scenarios so that we could, the original, she's gotten right at $1 million shaved off of the original estimate that we got. So she's worked really hard to get us to a point where we still a lot of money. I'm not trying to downplay that by any means, but a lot better than what it originally was for sure.
I think we kind of went into it expecting a certain budget, but all three of these curriculums came in over 2 million. So, at the
We
initial.
weren't expecting any of them to come in that high.
So we kind of realized we had to adjust our expectations a little bit, that inflation had hit textbooks in the same way it's hit the grocery store, basically. So we definitely underestimated what those quotes were gonna come in at. So
And this is a 7-year adoption that we're doing. So what kind of cost do we, and if I missed it, I apologize. What kind of cost do we have over the 7 years?
this covers all of the materials for the next 7 years. If we want additional professional development, we'll need to pay for that. We didn't pay for the professional development up front, other than the first year. First year, on this price quote, you'll see the 48,000 number. That is the first year professional development. Then we'll have some flexibility after that as to how many professional development days or hours that we feel like we need. Do we want it in person? Do we want it virtual? All of those things affect the cost. And we didn't want to pre-purchase and then wish that we had done it differently. So we have the ability to purchase that as we go.
So if they come out with a different version or some change on this during the 7 years, do we get that?
I think that we asked that question, but I don't want to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we asked that question and they said it would be the updated versions as they make updates, because we did ask that specifically. And I don't have those notes in front of me, but I'm fairly certain that they told us, yes, we would, as they made updates, we would get updated versions.
I'm remembering that too,
Yeah.
because that's online. They said that the next year's books that would come out would have.
Would
the new-
match that.
And would match that.
I kind of think that too. I just don't want to be wrong. So let me run that question by them and I'll get it to Josh and he can forward that communication on.
We have the newsletter for Friday. One thing that I think is really important is to recognize the amount of time and energy that these folks have put in. This committee has worked their tails off. And this is committee number 2, really. I mean, we started with, the first committee was a lot of our instructional coaches that kind of sat down with TNTP to look at what are the best practices for reading, what should we be looking at? And they spent almost a whole year creating the rubric that this team used to evaluate the different curriculums. And they have met and put a ton of work in, a lot of things outside of their contract. And I just want to tell you all that I appreciate your extra work and thank you. And you too, Heather.
Yeah.
Additional questions?
I'll just echo what Josh said. I appreciate all the time and effort y'all have done and put into this. It's an extremely important decision that we make, that is the curriculum for our students here for the next 7 years. And that's critical. You know, when it comes down to the cost, looking at Jessica now, when it comes down to the cost, compared to some of the things that we sit here and make decisions on, this is not that much money. But this is extremely important, and extremely important doing what you all do. Thank you again. Appreciate your time and the effort that you put into this. And those that aren't here tonight too.
And you, Mark, you were at a lot of things.
Yeah. Mark and Nathan were there with us quite a bit.
I just watched the process and listened to what I could learn from it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, ladies.
Item F3, the Board of Education is asked to consider and approve the early childhood curriculum adoption. Are you up again?
I am up again. So we had 2 early childhood teachers or individuals on this committee. Sarah Gear is actually our instructional coach at our early childhood center, and Megan Blake was the teacher representative at the early childhood center. So I asked them to attend tonight, just in case you had some additional questions or they wanted to offer some insight. When we were reviewing curriculums, we reviewed Amplify, Savvis, and Frog Street because HMH did not have a preschool curriculum. So in place of that, we chose Frog Street. And at the conclusion, our team really felt like Frog Street was the way to go. So I really want to commend these guys being two representatives for a building that represents 35 teachers. They did a lot going back to their building and saying, hey, here's the stuff. Here's what we learned, presenting to the groups. They ask the publishers to come in and present to all of their staff. They found the time in their day for everybody to come in, and I think it was during your lunch hour, right? The publishers did presentations with them during their lunch hours, just to make sure that everybody in that building felt like they had a voice. And I think they didn't necessarily want to carry the burden of that decision with just two people either, but for Frog Street, here were the strengths that that committee highlighted. Number one, one of the most important is that it is aligned to our Kansas early learning standards, which are our early childhood standards. There's a lot of hands-on materials included. It has some really strong and solid routines. I think a little bit of a difference I need to make sure you understand is preschool curriculum is not just ELA. It is ELA, math, social emotional, science, everything. This curriculum covers all of that. And normally when we do those purchases, we purchase a curriculum at the Early Childhood Center that covers it all. So this is pretty all-inclusive, and they were really impressed with the instruction and the routines that were in all of those components of the curriculum. It does have a strong social emotional learning part. There is great professional development support, phonemic awareness in our current, because you're going to see phonemic awareness on strengths and weaknesses. Their current curriculum, Connect for Learning, did not have phonemic awareness incorporated into it. So we purchased Haggerty at the Early Childhood Center and have been using it. So they were really excited about having a core curriculum that incorporates phonemic awareness in it. But they did also comment that the routines in Haggerty, which is what we've been supplementing with, those routines were a little bit better than in the new curriculum. And then there's more materials than what can be covered in a school year in this curriculum, which is pretty normal because we have a half-day preschool program, and these curriculums are a lot of times written for a full day. So there's way more stuff than what we can use. That was true of Connect for Learning as well. But our teachers then had to take the Connect for Learning curriculum and go through it by themselves and prioritize what to keep and what to omit. Whereas Frog Street is going to support us with that. That's part of their professional development plan, to look at what our goals and objectives are, what our needs are, and help us prioritize what we keep in the curriculum and what we omit, because we have a half-day program. Now, if we ever switch to a full day, we then have the materials for a full day program, but we'll likely at this point be using the half-day. Did I give you fear there, Jessica? The cost here, there's not as much sticker shock on Frog Street. So $146,000 for the materials. Professional development is about $7,000 with an all-in, sorry, this slideshow did not, $153,900. So it's not as bad of a sticker shock as the K-12. Jessica was pretty darn happy when I sent that quote to her. Do you have any questions for myself or Sarah?
Is this a 7-year thing as well? Okay.
Yes, and the preschool curriculum does not have all the consumables and things like that that the K-12 curriculum does. It's really like a teacher packet that has all of the materials like alphabet cards, you know.
There will be cost though in replacing those. Our kids eat them, cut them up, all the things. So there will be some cost later, but.
Drew.
We're trying to learn by osmosis.
Something like that.
But yeah, it's all inclusive. It gets each of the teachers a kit with all of the teaching materials and online access to those materials.
So with the So the concern of it falling short of Haggerty, or like, do we feel like there would need to be any supplementing, or it's just different?
Yeah, it's just different. Haggerty is a short, at our level, it's a very short, about 15-minute lesson that goes through every skill, one right after another. In our current curriculum, it had rhyming one day, and you wouldn't see rhyming again for 3 weeks. You'd have beginning sounds, a lesson on that, and then you wouldn't see it again for 2 weeks. So it incorporated those skills, but it wasn't a routine. And then Haggerty is very routine, and those 15 minutes are very strenuous for our kids. They have to work hard during that time. So this curriculum has it's spaced out. So like in the morning message where they're writing, they'll be doing some beginning sounds there. And then a little bit later in the day, it'll be built into the story that they're reading as well. So it might be a rhyming story, but every week is the same. So the skills are 2 or 3 times within that 3 hours, and they are, every week is the same. We feel like it's going to honestly be a little bit better for our 3-year-olds especially. Because we found with Haggerty, our 4-year-olds could handle it, our 3-year-olds struggle.
Yeah, it's kind of entertaining if you want to watch some fun. Go watch Garfield teach Haggerty to a 3-year-old, classroom full of 3-year-olds.
Actually, it's pretty amazing to see.
They do a great job.
It really, amazing. I mean, seeing how far they've grown and how far they've come, it's been really pretty impressive.
And when you see them as 4-year-olds. Awesome.
You said on there that one of the pros, it integrates well with the HMH. Can you explain a little more about that?
Well, we sat in on most of those committee meetings as well and heard presentations from the reps for the upper grades. And we feel like this is actually going to flow really well. It was one of the things that I know was important, was to find something that was more aligned all the way up. And unfortunately, it just doesn't happen to be owned by them. It used to be owned by them, which is kind of interesting. But I think that the foundation is still there. And so it's going to flow right into that kindergarten. Right now, our C4L is something that really stands by itself.
I think like Connect for Learning has a lot more emphasis on language, right? Whereas I think Frog Street, there's more emphasis on the phonemic awareness, which is more of what the science of reading is telling us. So it's going to be a better transition for kids to go from that, which Haggerty's been amazing for that, because we do Haggerty at the elementary as well. It's been an easy transition, but Frog Streets and their focus on those science of reading skills is going to make it a pretty easy transition to our elementary's focus on science of reading. Another question? And like Sarah said, she attended all of the K-12 sessions. And then in addition, the Frog Street, so they definitely had a big time commitment as well on their committee. And they did a great job of going back and making sure their entire staff was informed and up to date on what was happening. So I think, they're building, and I think across the district, our building reps did a good job of making sure that their teams knew what was happening and that they were part of the process, even if they weren't on the committee. So I think that was especially true at Garfield because, they made a point of bringing the publishers in during their lunch hour for the teachers that wanted to attend and learn. And all of their teachers attended and wanted to know more. So that was a real win.
So HMH ever do a pre-K deal?
I asked about it, and they didn't act like it's really on the horizon anytime soon. That doesn't mean that they won't.
They sold Frog Street though, so probably not.
Yeah, so at this time, it's not. And a lot of times publishers will tell us, yeah, we're about 2 to 3 years out for that. I think something we didn't talk about on the high school level is they really loved Springboard at the high school and wanted to keep it, but it's sold to a different publisher and it's not out and ready to view. And so they were giving us timelines, but it didn't match our timeline. You know, publishers want to sell us something. They'll usually tell us if it's coming. And they have not said that early childhood is on the horizon for HMH.
And I'll be honest, in our building, we would prefer standalone curriculums anyway. A lot of times when you get these bigger companies, they are just trying to make a sale and they don't have a strong pre-K curriculum. They might have one, but it's not what we really need. So getting Frog Street, it aligns well, and I think it's going to be best for our kids.
I'm the same way. I've been talking too much.
So,
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'm up next.
Maybe.
Maybe.
For some reason, every time it kicks.
I was waiting for my cue, Randy.
Every time I go to your PowerPoint and I go back, it kicks me back to the login screen. Item F4, nutrition box van bids. Tracy Johnson.
Hello, I'll try to keep this short and sweet. The shortness of it is our 2011 diesel truck blew a motor. So last year, we were having issues with it. We rented a box truck with a lift and it got us through. The truck we thought was fixed. So when I did put out the bid, nobody returned it. And so I just kind of dropped the ball. And of course, this year at the same time, we're having trouble with the truck, but this time it was a blowing motor. So I am asking the board to approve the purchase of a truck chassis to put our existing box and lift on. And this, we have 2 trucks, we have 2 deliveries. We have the grocery delivery and the hot box delivery. So right now, gracious of Plant Facilities, we're using their backup box truck. It does not have a lift, which causes some safety issues because a lot of our groceries are heavy. So a lot of times we'll have to hurry up and do the boxes and then do the grocery deliveries or do them all in the same day for the grocery deliveries. So any questions?
Who's gonna do that work to switch it?
I have reached out to a couple companies and when we do finally get the truck, they'll come and look at it, but they have guaranteed me, both companies that I've reached out to have guaranteed me the box will fit on this chassis. And I only had 2 people bid on it, which was Legacy and Burtis. Lewis and, oh gosh, what's the other, thank you. They did reach out to me to let me know that they did not have a chassis suitable for what our needs that would fit the current box that we have. Questions?
So are these brand new pickups?
Yeah, this is brand new. Burtis did have a used box truck, but our current lift would not fit on it and it just wasn't feasible for us.
Mr. President, I'll move to approve the nutrition delivery truck bid from Burtis Motor Company, Inc. in the amount of $55,063.94.
Is there a second?
Second.
One of you, yeah.
I do already.
Yeah. Okay, it's moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And I very much thank you and our warehouse staff thanks you too.
Thank you. Okay, item F5, transportation radios. This is first read again from Director of Transportation Shane Burns.
It won't be as long as the adoption, and I won't be as short as that. But, so what we're doing is we're asking for some new radios for our buses, new two-way radios. Back in November, towards the end of one of the work days, our radios just kind of started cutting in and out. The next day, no radios. And radios are very imperative to what we do. We have to be able to relay messages to the drivers, from parents, from us. I mean, redirect. We have to consolidate routes at times if a bus breaks down. So it was crazy. We didn't have anything crazy happen, but it was very stressful. It was very. Trying to figure out what was going on. We've been working with Schneider's. He was out of town for a couple of days, so we had a couple of days without radios. When he came back, he let us know that our repeater was broken. He put us on his repeater that we're paying rent for right now, $500 a month just to use it. So when things like this happen, you know, we could spend money just to get back to where we were. We could look to upgrade. Right now, we're on an analog system, which, I mean, if anybody's been on the radio, you know that there's just a lot of static in our radios. So we would have to, we kind of went through with Snyder just back then, just what it would kind of cost for us to just get back up and running where we were. And it was going to cost about 18 grand just to get us back to where we were. That was a new repeater, new cabling, new antenna on top of the tower here, the water tower. The city lets us use that. We don't have to pay anything for that to put our antennas on it. So I asked Jessica and the leadership if I could kind of explore some other opportunities. We looked at some LTE radios, because one of the things I wanted to be able to do was talk to buses further away than about 14 and a half miles. The LTE radios, we could actually talk to anybody all over the country. But those are, we kind of, I did a lot of research on it, the reviews, they were cheaply made, and the reoccurring rent, the cost of those, the subscription fees were just ridiculous. So happened to see Chief Pruitt said, hey, what do you guys do? How do you guys do? He said, we need to get hooked up with the 800 megahertz. Basically what that is it's a more expensive radio, Motorola radio, same we got, just a little more expensive, but we get to use all 76 towers of the KDOT, the Kansas state system. So somebody that's in Kansas City, we can talk to them out here. Also with these radios, we'll be able to program different channels where if we have 4 or 5 activity buses go out of state, they can get on that channel and just talk to them. They don't have to hear all the routing madness that happens from 6 to 9 and from 2 to 5 every day. Also, when I was talking to Officer Pruitt, there's an open channel that they have. It's a lot of conversation and MOU, but we would be able to flip a channel and speak directly to the law enforcement center or to the SROs if something was happening. So we did put out 3 bids. We got 2 bids back, one from First Wireless, and then another one from the VLS out of Collier, Kansas. We put it out as new and used because right now the used and the new radios, similar, there's not much difference in them. The used radios with First Wireless is the one I'm recommending. Those have a 90-day warranty on them, and if it's not going to work, it's not going to work in 90 days. But they do a really good job of servicing their stuff. It's not on paper, but they said they would make sure they took care of us. We're a school, we're important. Our kids are important. It's important what we do. So I'm asking you guys to accept the First Wireless bid for $44,000 as compared to the $170,000 bid for VLS. It's 61 radios, the bases, and it'll take care of all of our buses, activity buses, our mechanics, and our office staff. Any questions?
And there's such a discrepancy from 44 to 170.
Well, when we put it out new or used. Yeah. VLS is new and used. There's a combination of them. but the one from First Wireless, that's what the Garden City Police Department, I think most people in Southwest Kansas use them. Their customer services.
And with Motorola, the price is the number. So like with the HT 8000s, it's $8,000 per radio new. That's how they price that stuff.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Very expensive.
And we will have 60 of the analog Motorola's that we could, I mean, we got a lot of trucking companies, a lot of things around here in town that they use those. It costs $50 to reprogram them on their cost, but we could, I mean, no sense in sitting on them. Just we'll get something out of them.
This is, it says first read on our agenda. Is it something that would be helpful to get done to get approved tonight or?
Absolutely. They did say, if you look, it says 60 days from, 60 days. He said we'd probably get them a heck of a lot sooner than that, but it'd be nice if we wouldn't have to wait for a couple more weeks to get moving.
Funds, do we have the funds for this?
Yes. Yep, they're budgeted in capital outlay.
Is there any kind of future, like, plan ahead for like a rotation for radios in the future where we could start replacing these used ones with new?
We set aside usually funds every year for like our admin radios. And then these normally just come like we're as needed. But with these being used, if Shane wants to put those on a rotation.
That was my thing, since we're buying used already, do we want to be prepared to do this again in 2 or 3 years, you know?
And can definitely add that into a rotation with our others.
In my experience, Motorola radios, they're indestructible. I've seen cops run them over and throw them in rivers and they pick them up and use them just fine. They're tough. Yeah.
We use radios elsewhere in the district. I think my mom, because it's cell service degree, they use radios. That we think they'd be repurposed
Yeah, every
in
school,
the
every
district.
school has its own channel. So, and we're hooked up to the same repeater water tower. And so whenever we buy new radios, Roy takes them to the city and they program them up for us. And so like the 4 of us on leadership, if in the event that there's a crisis somewhere, we've got every single school's band on our radios. But then there's also a USD 457 band so that every radio in the district can be able to talk our language in the event that there's a district-wide crisis as well. So, and yeah, the radios at Playmount work because we tested them, I think last year or the year before. I called Suzette and I was talking to Suzette as I left town here and further out when I wanted to make sure that there wasn't a spot out there where she wasn't able to talk at Playmount.
Questions?
Thanks, Shane.
I'm okay with making a motion if we want to go ahead and get it going. So I'll make the motion. Mr. President, I move to approve the bid for two-way radios from First Wireless in the amount of $44,857.01.
I'll second that.
So moved and second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same. Motion carries. Okay, item F6, Alta Brown Elementary School and the ESC flooring. Brandon, you're up.
So the next one are myself and our department. The first one that we're going to discuss actually has 2 parts to it. So you have 2 memos in your packet. It's for flooring. And as we are assessing and looking at flooring needs, one of the main culprits, and we've got Alta Brown, we've kind of bumped up. I will tell you, flooring is one of those for our long range plan. Depending on the activity, the wear and tear, you can't just simply say, okay, it's X years old, it needs to be replaced. This one, through our visual inspection, is one that has showed a lot of wear and tear, especially in the older portion of Alta Brown. And so we've moved that one to a project for this year, and it is in the long range plan. And so that's the memo that I'm going to discuss first with Alta Brown. It would be, basically, we would bid it out in two parts. The base bid would be the hallways and the alternate one would be the rooms. I hope that we get some good, competitive bids and we could possibly do it for all of it at one time. For what we've got in the long range plan, around $237,000. That's the estimate we've got right now. To be able to get these projects in the queue to start the design process and the bid process, we work with GMCN, who is our architect of record. I should have started out by talking about this. So this proposal basically is triggering them to design the project and put it out for bids for us. Those bids would then come back to the board at a later time for approval. And so hopefully all of these projects we're discussing tonight will be projects we're going to do this summer while our schools are empty. So that's the first one. Again, it's in the long range plan for Alta Brown, $237,000 estimated. The fee that I'm asking or moving forward, the proposed fee, and it's considered as service order number 6 with GMCN, their fee would be $15,000. The other one under this agenda item is for here at the ESC. If you've noticed at the ESC, this carpet is actually pretty new here in the boardroom. But if you walk out of the boardroom, the front foyer and all of the corridors are heavily worn. Not all of the offices have new carpet and probably will need to be looked at in the next couple of years. The IT department has recently been redone. We did just recently add another conference room over here. Both of those conference rooms need new carpet. And I'm recommending that we go in with the same kind of carpet that we've got here in the boardroom, but definitely upgrade the corridors. First impressions, I think, are important. And when someone walks into our administrative office and the first thing they see, and you especially notice in the hallway where the bathrooms are, heavily worn area. And so we're recommending that project move forward as well. It's on here as service order number 7. Estimated cost of that is $36,000. It is in the long range plan, and GMCN's fee for that would be $6,000. So those are the two items for that agenda item, F6, Alta Brown, and the ESC flooring. Any questions on those two?
Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm asking, do we have to have those architect fees for carpet? I mean, that seems like a pretty easy project for L&L or J&M to come in and give a bid.
Well, and I will tell you though, that we have not, I shouldn't say we haven't. We have in the past used some local ones, but a lot of times to get very competitive bids, and the last couple of times Countrywide, and Star, both out of Wichita, and that's who we've used, on a lot of the projects the last couple of years. Yes, I don't disagree with you on that, but also to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's. We just had an incident happen at Victor and Alice where we did bid that out ourselves. I was able to pull the bid documents. Fortunately, we attached the addendums that GMCN would attach with that. And basically, they felt like there was something that didn't get removed from the floor and we weren't allowing the glue to adhere. And we were having some type of and anyway, it was never dried totally. And as we were cleaning that, we were slinging that glue around the room. So they came in on their dime, and replaced all of that during this last Christmas break. Star did. Yes, it is an expenditure over $20,000. We could put the bid documents together. GMCN said they would work with us and work as a template up that we could do that on. The larger projects, I just think, having that expertise and somebody like GMCN, the architects, the ability, not necessarily in carpet, to be able to call up the engineers and get those involved in some of these projects as well. So.
Yeah, I 100% get that. I mean, we start talking to HVAC and all that. I get that 100%. I just, in my opinion, carpet replacement removal is pretty cut and dry, and I'm sure there could always be issues, but
Especially on the ESC, it's like, what, 15% if I do the math in my head? Like, that's ridiculous. On the bigger one, 15,000 on 200, that's a little more understandable, but
Yeah, and that was a red flag that came up, and he did the math, and they basically they would have about 40 hours of staff time into that. He asked if he needed to do some reconsideration there or resubmit. And I told him I'd bring him forward to you guys tonight for discussion.
I would like to see we try to bid it ourselves for the carpet and lose those architect fees for this, what I feel like is a pretty cut and dry project that shouldn't hopefully have any watches will come back to haunt me, but it seems like a pretty straightforward project to do, but that's my opinion.
So Brandon and I kind of visited about this the other day too, because I think that sticker shock hit me a little bit too. Couple things that I would say, I don't think Brandon's opposed to that. We've kind of talked about what that could look like. I think we just need to kind of sit down and talk about what that needs to look like. The other thing I would say is I think President was kind of said a few years ago that we wanted everything to go through GMCN when we were doing everything. And so I think telling Brandon that it's okay to do that, and we don't necessarily have to have them do everything. Because I don't think you're gonna get a lot of pushback from GMCN either if we don't ask them to sign off on every little thing. I'm sure that they'd be okay with that too. I just think we need to have kind of, what does that look like? I told Brandon from my perspective, we start talking about electrical, we start talking about plumbing, we start talking about roofing, HVAC, things like that, anything that's structural, we need to get GMCN involved in all that. When we're talking about floor covering, we're talking about painting, things like that, wall covering, we could probably figure out a way to do that.
I trust you that you can manage that project and it's gonna be fine, so.
Yeah, but I will work with GMCN and get them to help with that, and hopefully it won't slow this process down much. But certainly in my experience also, and when you're talking about these fees with our architect of record, a lot of them will either hire an architect of record and an engineer of record. And I kind of like having that one point person to go through whatever the project is, and using their expertise. My experience though, over the long run, even though that fee, yes, does look a little bit off center, it'll all dollar out and kind of wash out in the long run because they'll do some project less than you would think. So, but we can certainly look at that if that's something you want me to shift gears on the flooring projects this time. Is it just on the ESC that you want me to change that and bid that out?
My recommendation would be on any flooring project that, unless you come to us and say, this is a project that you anticipate problems, or, we got floors are unlevel and we're gonna have to level floors, or you understand anything that was out of what I would call an ordinary scope of carpet replacement, I would say you could handle that, but I trusted your expertise to you to come to us and say, look, on this one, we probably need to get the architect involved because of these issues.
Okay. Good guidance. So internally, we'll start working on getting those bids out for flooring, and get those back to you. So any other questions or follow up on F6?
Okay, we're going on F7, Garfield HVAC.
F7 is an HVAC project. Last year, we put a new roof on the entirety of Garfield. HVAC at Garfield, we have two different sets of units. The older building, those units are 09s. No, the newer ones are 14s. The other ones are 09s. On the old portion. This would be, basically, we would be contracting with GMCN under service order number 2 to move forward and have them bid out replacing all of the RTUs or rooftop units on the old portion of Garfield, and then doing a alternate one for the units on the new portion. There are approximately 24 RTUs on the old portion and 18 on the new portion. The total cost of proposed fee for them, is $62,250 for, the old portion, and then the new portion of $33,250. If you did that all at one time and bid it as I'm proposing, which would be, a base bid for all of the old portion and an alternate number one for the new portion, that total cost would be $95,500. We have an estimate of $1,170,000 for this project. It is in the long range plan. With the new roof there too, we would also add language within this bid process that we would require a roof inspection by the contractor that did the roof last year. After they get done, we would also ask that they shore up or have extra footing that they put down around each of the rooftop units while they're working and installing those. Questions on F7?
No, sir. Okay, we'll move on to item F8, Florence Wilson Elementary School and Georgia Matthews Elementary roofing.
Okay, F8 is our roofing summer projects that we're looking at. One of them has been in the long range plan. The other one has kind of become a rising need, but it is in the long range plan as well. That's area number D at Florence Wilson. That's the one I'll discuss first. That's service order number 5. That area, and I didn't get the exact square footage, but if you think of Florence Wilson, it's probably about a seventh of that roof is the area that we're talking about for this particular project. It's a project that the 4 drains are in bad shape. 2 of the 4 drains we know are plugged up and need rework. That would be involved in this project. But we have had incidents of leaks in this area of Florence Wilson ever since I've been here, and I know longer than that. It's a problematic area. What we have done with the roofs as well is when we want to really dial in on our long range plan and make sure we're giving attention to the roofs that need it the worst is we've done this twice now in 2 different areas. We brought all of our 3 local roof companies in and asked them to come and tour those with us. And we've gone out and looked at those roofs that are on our long range plan. This area of this roof is bad. The rest of Florence Wilson is in pretty good shape. And so that's why we're recommending and had them work up service order number 5, which is area number D at Florence Wilson. Estimated cost of this project is around $200,000. Their fee would be $17,000. The other item in this agenda item is at Georgia Matthews. And so the other memo that's in your packet, and if you're talking about the entire roof of Georgia Matthews, this is going to be, these 2 sections are about 3/4 of the roof area of Georgia Matthews. Want to say the other area of the main building there at Georgia Matthews, about 4 years ago, we put a coating on that roof. And so it's in pretty good shape for the time being. This area, though, was pinpointed at Georgia Matthews. These 2 areas were pinpointed by our architecture firm who was in that tour with us. And then all of our roofing companies all agreed that this was the worst need in the district of roofing at this point. So the recommendation was the cost, or in the long range plan, the estimated cost for this area is $575,000. The design and bid fee to re-roof this area with GMCN is $21,500. So those are the 2 roofing areas that are covered under F8 on your agenda item. Any questions on those 2?
F9.
Ready to go home. F9 is a bit more, might require a bit more explanation. But anyway, we had an act of vandalism that happened at Buffalo Jones Elementary. 15 or 20 of the blocks in the windows were broken out. That doesn't mean the entire windows, were destroyed. But the way that those old block windows are, number one, in talking with our local window companies, they can't find that product that would go in there and match it. So it'd be hard just to take that one block out and replace it. Number two, even if we could find the block, the expertise of glazing that in there, we don't have here locally with our two local window companies as well. So we did put a quote out. The other thing about it is that it was a vandalism situation. Our recommendation is, and what the glass company recommended is that you just replace it all with a new up-to-date window, and you would increase your efficiency. We would increase the lighting in the gym, but that would be the easiest thing to do as opposed to what I was describing earlier, is picking those blocks out and finding the expertise to put them back in if you could find the product. What we ran into though we looked at filing this with insurance, the cost of replacing all those windows. We would have had to have an argument and a discussion with them because not all the windows were broken. So I was ready for that because I thought our deductible was $25,000. Our deductible is actually $75,000. So we did not move forward with an insurance claim on this particular project. However, we still need to address those windows. We're recommending that we go ahead and replace all the windows on the gymnasium at Buffalo Jones with a new up-to-date window. We put 3 quotes out. We got bids back from Kenny Glass and Roth Glass. The quote from Kenny Glass is for $44,075, and they could do it when they get around to it. They could do it in 2 to 4 days for installation. They would also included in the bid was all the demo and cleanup, special precautions with the flooring, making sure that when they were doing that, they weren't damaging the floor that was underneath. The quote from Roth Glass that we got was $53,745. So to take care of the problem at Buffalo Jones and replace all those windows, staff recommendation is to go with Kenny Glass and their bid of $44,075. Any questions?
Are those 2 bids the same kind of glass, same
Yes.
thickness and everything?
Yes, sir.
Not,
Do you have copies of those bids?
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
so nothing to do with work, but they caught the kids, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
We'll try for restitution, but it's very unlikely.
You'd like some motion probably on this tonight, right? So we can get this going.
I think the quicker we could get going on that, I would, yes, please.
That's what I asked.
We've only had one rain, or one moisture event, since that vandalism event happened, and it was a pretty ruckus one this past, Friday. So I imagine we're gonna get a few more. I don't think we had any issues there, but, the quicker we could get on that, the better. And it's an emergent need. It's not in the long range plan, but it's an emergent need.
So
Yeah, so we like have placeholders, and so this wouldn't come out of my budgeted funds.
Mr. President, I move we approve the bid from Kenny Glass to replace the windows at Buffalo Jones in the amount of $44,075.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If all in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Pick it up, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon. Okay, F10, Board of Education Policy Updates, Drew Tillman.
Well, no, Jessica said thank you for not spending any money when I walked up here, so. Tonight.
First for him too, I think.
Probably is. So just some background for new board members. 2 years ago, Josh and I and Leanne in my office were tasked with going through every single board policy that we have for a district for you guys for the school board. So we spent the better part of 6 months going through And if you ever look at the binder, it's a good 400 to 500 pages of board policies. We went through those and we had a huge adoption at the end of it, getting everything up to date. We hadn't updated our policies. We hadn't done a very good job of keeping our policies updated with changing court law and changing practices that we have had. So over the last 2 years, we've been intentional about making sure to come to you guys with new policies or updates to our current policies that we need to do in order to stay up with current legal precedents. So you guys will see me twice a year, most generally twice a year, with big groups of policy that I'll bring to you. These policies are recommended by KASB and have been vetted by our legal counsel prior to me bringing them to you guys. The board policies that we have in front of you, we'll go through them individually one by one. Just they were in your board packet. I do feel bad for new board members. You guys had, over 70 new classes to go through. Obviously, curriculum adoption, that's a ton of stuff to go through. Brandon's bid packets are a lot to go through. I promise you, not every month is necessarily like this month, just most months. So,
Say client.
so there is that. The first ones that I go through, we already have the policy. It's just redlining, some redlining of the policy. The first one actually is protection of you guys as a Board of Education in executive session. What we had last year was in the state of Kansas, we had a recording device brought into an executive session of a board meeting from the outside that recorded the meeting. That is obviously against the law for that to happen. In order to be a little more ironclad in what we do, it was suggested that we update our executive board or a executive session to make sure it states that you cannot bring in outside recording devices, ensure that information outside of the executive session. So this is just an update from case law that was brought forth this past season. The next one that we have is IKB, controversial issues. This obviously over the past year has been an issue. We have always had a controversial issues board policy. This just makes it a little more explicit in when a teacher discusses a controversial issue in a classroom, they can discuss those controversial issues. They just can't show bias one way or another toward any of those controversial issues. They just have to lead the discussion. They can't guide the discussion one direction or another. Again, it's a policy that we've had that has somewhat implied that. This is just more explicit in how it implies that controversial issue topic. IKCA, human sexuality in education. This, in looking back, we adopted this originally in the 80s and then amended it in the 90s. This had a large portion devoted to AIDS. AIDS isn't near the issue that it was in the 80s and 90s. So it's just removing that and being a little more open-ended on human sexuality and what that entails. There's a form that we use that also has AIDS inside the form, the word AIDS inside the form, that it removes that from as well. KID, religion and curricular and school-sponsored activities. Same thing as the executive session. Last year, there were some more court cases dealing with religious topics in school and religious sponsored activities in school. This is just our opt-out form in clarifying when parents, how parents opt out and when they opt out, giving them a little more leeway to opt out of specific curricular activities that deal with religion or religious activities. The next one is the opt-out form itself that we'll have to change to match the Mohammed versus Taylor case. So that's a form that we already had, and that's just updating that form. JBCC, enrollment of non-residential students. A few years back, One thing that's a little unique, and I don't know that we've done a very good job of explaining this to you guys as a board. Garden City Public Schools has always been an open enrollment district. We've always allowed open enrollment. So when state law changed to allow open enrollment, nothing changed for us except the documentation of how we do open enrollment. But we've always allowed Holcomb, Ingalls, Sublette, as long as we have had room for them, we've always allowed them to come here prior to open enrollment. One thing that has been unique is there's always been question on whether we can send a bus into Holcomb, whether we can send a bus into Ingalls, whether we can send a bus down to Split to pick those kids up. There was court case that determined that yes, you can. And so with that, we have to update our policy saying we will allow our buses to travel outside our district boundaries in order to pick up students. I don't foresee us doing that. We have friendly agreements with all the surrounding districts saying we won't do that. But this, if ever we needed to do that, this would give us the ability to. But again, I don't necessarily see, Josh, would you agree?
Yeah, I think once we start going into their district, that allows them to come into our district, and we all kind of have a shake agreement that we're not gonna do that. So I don't, just not a good look for us.
The one new policy that we didn't have is JQI. JQI is our adult student policy. We should have had this policy, and for some reason, we have never adopted this policy. We do have adult students that attend classes through USD 457. This specifies that we have the ability to decide where those adult students go. So what this allows us to do is if there's an adult student that wants to come back and finish their high school diploma, we don't necessarily have to allow them to go to Garden City High School. Sending a 26-year-old adult to Garden City High School probably isn't the best option. So what we would do is give them an alternative pathway. It's what we do currently, most generally through virtual school. Always through virtual school, always through most generally. So those are the policies, updates. There are going to be a few more that come later on in the spring. We'll have a second round of these that come on in the spring that will address more issues that come up in court cases or legal challenges or change in state law from the legislative session that will end sometime in March. We'll get another round after that. Questions? All right, thank you, guys.
Wow. I had a lot of questions, actually.
Okay.
3, sorry. So do we have guidelines or specifications for what we consider to be like controversial topics? Is there somewhere that teachers can look or that we can look?
It's somewhat spelled out in the policy, but no, there's not a, the Charlie Kirk assassination classifies as we generally allow our teachers to have the freedom to have those discussions, again, as long as they're not guiding the individual students one direction or another, is the biggest part of the controversial issues topic. We allow the conversation to happen. We don't guide the conversation one direction or another.
So we're not saying like, okay, this we consider controversial is kind of up for interpretation.
It is, yeah. It's definitely up for interpretation. Even on the age appropriateness of it is up for interpretation.
And then just curious, how often do we have like religious exemption requests?
I'm not sure I've had one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like,
See it happen very often.
I think I had it happen to me in the classroom like one time we were teaching about Dia de los Muertos and there was a parent that didn't want to do that, but.
I taught religion at Garden City High School and I never had an opt-out.
Just curious.
Yeah. So it doesn't happen very often.
Okay. Yeah, so do we have guidance or materials for teachers on alternative assignments, or is it just up to them to provide something?
Yeah, again, it's up to them, yeah. And most generally, in the court cases that I've seen, it's, most of the court cases that we've seen are not around Western Kansas. Most of the court cases that we've seen are West Coast court cases and East Coast court cases. The newer court cases have been around LGBTQ plus teaching. And so that's where a lot of the opt-out has happened, and that's where the court case came from, Mohammed wanting to opt out of some of those things.
was just curious.
Any others?
I forgot to ask Heather, but for the new curriculum, we get the letter from.
Yes, we did get a letter, that didn't, that specified that, there would be no DEI embedded stuff. And it should,
It's a packet.
yeah, it should be in the packet. Any others? We're looking at a couple others just to preview. We're looking at our transfer policy. So that's going to be a topic of discussion, how we perform transfers and how transfers operate within the district. As soon as people enroll, that's a thing that's up for discussion. And then another one that will be coming later in the spring that we kind of drug our feet on initially is in how police officers identify when they're off duty coming into a school. And so we're still having that conversation, making sure that the policy aligns with the values of Garden City.
The other one that I would say that's coming that Drew probably won't bring, it'll probably come from Mr. Norby if it comes at all, will be the cell phone policy, which I've communicated with you all last week, but that's gonna hit the floor on Friday, I believe. Goes to committee tomorrow, and I think the House.
There are two bills now.
House and the Senate, both Senate Bill 302 and House Bill
2141.
Yeah, 2141. Basically, they're the same thing. There's just a couple of little pieces in there, but what the bill basically what the bill basically reads is it would be a bell to bell exemption of cell phones. And so what that looks like, I think this is going to be a very hot topic, and I think there's going to be a lot of discussion before a decision's made.
The biggest difference is one has reporting requirements and one doesn't.
The House bill has a reporting requirement that we would now have to give
Report
an
that amount
estimate of how much
screen time,
school screen time kids get each day. Up to 4th, yeah.
which, I mean, I get why they're doing it, but that's just another thing that our teachers are gonna have to keep track of. So I think-
That's in the House bill, but not the Senate bill.
I'm sure there's extra.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna have some direction on cell phones one way or the other. It's just, are we gonna have the legislator do that for us, or are we gonna do that locally? And I think there's a lot of arguments going back and forth on what that should look like. Should we have local control? I will tell you, I'm a big proponent of local control. I think there's a lot of value in that. But I also think when you're having an argument with a parent about this kid that's brought a cell phone for the 5th time, and you can look at that parent and say, there's state law that says that this is illegal and they can't do this, that's gonna have a lot more teeth into it too. And so I think, while I'm a fan of local control, I think there's benefit to that too, if that's the direction that we're going.
The bills apply to teachers as well as students, because most of the parents that have talked to me about it are like, if you're gonna take them away from our students, we shouldn't walk into a classroom and see a teacher on their cell phone.
I can disagree with that. I mean, I think that's gonna have to be a separate policy though, Robin, but yeah. That's something that we can talk about too.
Any other issues? We hired 12 people at semesters. Data that too.
All right, good job.
Good job.
Okay. Item G, board open discussions. Oh, I get to go first. You'll find when you're the last one, there's nothing to say. First off, welcome to new board members. I'm glad you're here and getting the ground running. So thank you very much. And that, as always, I love when the kids show up. I really was impressed with the FFA kids today. I think they're gonna do something in life. They seem like they're a pretty solid bunch of kids. So I was happy about that. I appreciate Brandon continue to move forward with the long range plan. I mean, he and Shane and everybody before him put together what I feel like is a very comprehensive long range plan for our facilities. And I'm glad to see that we continue to move on that and not just let it, because we've all witnessed the deferred maintenance that's happened at some of our buildings over the years. And as long as we keep moving forward with that, I don't see that happening again. So I'm glad that's moving forward. And thank you for the gifts for the board recognition. Appreciate it. Robin?
Yes, welcome to the board. It's a lot of fun. It's the hardest job you'll never get paid for. And we're looking forward to seeing what the next couple of years look like with all of us adjusting to each other. The FFA kids were amazing. I mean, one of them especially related to me, but you know. And it is really nice. And we see it even from the little kids with the social, emotional, and the leader in me. These kids are much braver than I ever was at their age to stand in front of a room of people being recorded and talk. So kudos to the district for that. I was very pleased with the ELA presentation. I was supposed to be on that committee and I just had some life things happen and I couldn't go. So my daughter-in-law was on it, so she kept me highly posted. And I appreciate all the work they did, and it sounds like they came up with a good solution. That's all I got.
Mark?
Welcome new board members. Look forward to working with y'all through the next couple of years. I'm sure we got a lot of challenges in front of us that we don't even know about at this time, and some we do. The high school FFA presentation was really good, and I know FFA is a really good organization. Those students have learned a lot and will continue to learn a lot. And leadership skills, they get there will be lifelong skills that they'll have. ELA curriculum committee, again, I want to thank all the folks that participated in that and took their own time to do a lot of things. I know that I wasn't at everything, but I was at a number of different committee meetings that we had. I know some folks put in some effort and some extra time. And as I said earlier, that's a really important decision that we're making for 7 years. We're teaching our students. This is what we're using our teachers. This is the resource they have to teach our students. And to me, that's very important that we do the best we can and pick the best one that we can. And the early childhood curriculum committee, again, thank you to them for the time and effort, excuse me, they put into that. There's all kinds of things that's happened over the break, and I was going to write some down, I forgot. So you probably got some, Nathan, but I know we had folks walk the stage or graduate from the virtual academy. Is that correct? Jesse, it's you.
Yep.
We had honor students named. Your daughter was noticed. So hey, there's been wrestling tournaments. There's been all kinds of different things that have happened, and just getting back into the groove of school and activities is great to see. So.
Nathan?
Again, welcome to all the new board members. You'll have fun as we go along this journey. Just some thank yous. I know with the snow this last Friday, we had a lot of staff that were working out there, transportation. Work together. It was really exciting to watch from a distance and grateful that they were not there. But I know the building principals even jumped in on shoveling some things and a lot of things happened there. So I just want to say thanks to all the staff and all those that were out there working in transportation, taking their time to get the kids home safely. So I appreciate all of that. And was thinking about the FFA presentation. They did a great job. But we have so many also many great different groups at the high school that are functioning all together. And so they did a great job representing their group. And there's so many others that we don't want to forget about as well. And so just thanks to the entire high school staff and all that they're doing as well there. And just wanted to say the ELA adoption really, as we've heard in the past, reading is fundamental to everything else that happens within science and math and all the bases there. So I look at this $2.4 million as an investment in our kids, to getting them off to a good start. And so I appreciate that. While that seems like a lot of money, and it is, I look at it as an investment in making a good decision. And it'll be easier for our subs coming in as well, and a lot of other things happening there. So excited about what that looks like. I know I just happened to notice the new sign up at KH this fall. I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but excited to see those things happening and being renovated instead of it looking ragtag, falling apart out there, representing our school system well. The sign looked really, really nice. And so I know Jessica's been a part of making sure those get going, so I appreciate her in that. And then there was something else. everything else I think is going on. So I appreciate everybody. That's all I gotta say.
Katie?
Right. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been welcoming us as new board members. Thank you, Josh and Jennifer, for getting us kind of set up. Got my binder. So I was super excited to have a binder. I'm sorry that I asked so many questions and probably made this meeting go a little bit longer. I'm just really excited that I get to be here and I still get to be part of USD 457. I loved teaching here. It was so amazing to even get to see like one of my former students up here, like just killing it with that FFA presentation. I'm really excited for the new ELA curriculum. Reading and having been a teacher and seeing kids like trying to teach them how to, sound out words, whatever. I was a little bit concerned about that, but like knowing that we are already making, steps towards improving phonemic awareness and I'm really excited to see where our reading scores go and where our kids go with that. So I'm excited to be here. Sorry I made everything go a little bit longer. Probably, I will probably continue to ask a lot of questions, but I'm super happy that I get to be part of this. And yeah, just thank you, everybody. You've all been very welcoming.
You don't mark rude. You didn't ask a lot of questions. Okay. Anyway, you did great, all right? Marcy, Jake. Yeah.
Thanks everyone for letting me be on board and everyone for voting and everything. But the ELA, I really enjoyed and liked how the teachers are so passionate and about this program. Yeah, the initial cost is $2.whatever million. If you average it out, it's really not that much per year. That's the way I think you should look at things. I went to the dyslexia seminar last week, and that was an amazing turnout in the afternoon with all the teachers. I thought I was really impressed. I learned quite a bit too, so I'd like to have those guys back sometime, maybe in the fall or whenever. But I think it'll be good to be on this board and learn about our school and everything for the better of our students and staff.
So I get to bat, clean up and but echo pretty much what everybody else said. The ELA presentation was really great to sit and listen through. One of the teachers pretty well has worked in my kids' school and know how passionate they are for it and how much time they've spent looking at this. And I've had some discussions with her after school. So know that if they looked through this and really had their hearts and their expertise in it, that they've come up with the best product. And I'm glad to see that it's K through 12, so it'll be consistent throughout, and B, that they have reading materials that the kids will enjoy and be interested in. I'm myself a huge Judy Moody fan, so I think I read every single one in the last 2 years. I'm so glad that that'll be engaging for the kids. But overall, I would say just excited to get my feet under me on this board, and thank you for your patience as we learn the process of participating on here. Read through all the materials ahead of this, and it's a lot of work, but all worth it for sure. So excited to get started.
Josh?
Yeah. Welcome, new board members. We're glad you're here. All the board, I just want to say thank you, because I do feel like there's a lot of time and there's a lot of energy that goes into being a board member that I don't think the public actually recognizes, and we appreciate all the hours that you put in reading the stuff that we sent you and taking phone calls from me or asking questions. I think there's a lot. And so new board members, I would encourage, if you have questions, don't hesitate, call, shoot me an email or a text. I'm happy to visit with anything I want you to fill. I think one of the most important things you're going to do as a board member, I say this all the time, but you need to listen to all of the facts, ask your clarifying questions, which Katie did a good job of tonight. And then at the end of that, you need to vote your conscience, and you need to be comfortable with whatever that vote that is, whether you're voting with the board or not. Vote your conscience and be comfortable with that when you leave this room. And so I want you to feel like you're informed when you're making those votes. And so if there are questions that you have, don't hesitate to reach out and ask me for any of those questions. This is School Board Appreciation Month, and so we kind of did some things tonight. But next board meeting, at the end of the meeting, we're going to take the board to dinner at Napoli's after the board meeting. So we will be continuing the meeting at Napoli's, where we'll have dinner. I think it'll be a good opportunity for new board members to visit with the existing board. You guys can ask questions and kind of start building some relationship as a group. Along with that, we're gonna have our retreat. We'll have our retreat this week, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think a lot of what we're gonna do is it's gonna be opportunities for you all as seven board members to kind of talk about how you want to make decisions, what you want that to look like, what your role's gonna be, what your expectations of me are going to be. What do we wanna focus on moving forward? And so kind of be thinking about that. They'll go over a lot of the questions that they had with the survey that they sent overall. As kind of a direction as well. One thing that I wanted to share with you that Drew made sure that I brought up, with Tyson closing their plant in Nebraska, we are starting to see some families coming to Garden City. And so we visited with Monica Diaz, who's our coordinator of supplemental programs last week. She's had a group of her staff in her office that have gone to Tyson last Wednesday. We're going to send them to Tyson every week, every Wednesday this month to kind of visit as these families come in. So they visited with about 20 parents, 20 individuals last Wednesday. Of those 20 individuals, we netted three students. So I don't know that we're going to pick up a whole lot of students probably, but I do think we're going to pick up some. Tyson is telling us that last Wednesday of the month will probably be the busiest. That's when they're going to be full. That plant's going to be fully closed, and we'll see a lot of folks come. They're planning on. They told us at the last chamber meeting in December it was 300, right? About 300 families or 300 positions that they'll be hiring in Tyson. How many of those are bringing their families with them? And are they bringing their families with them right now? There's a lot of unanswered questions. To be completely honest, if we have 300 kids show up in January, I think that's going to give Drew a heart attack because that's going to require us to hire a lot of teachers short term. But I do think it would be great to see, our enrollment's been declining for a long time. And so if we could get a little bump out of this, it would be a good thing for us in the long run. And so we'll continue to kind of visit with them and kind of keep an eye on that. And as we know more, I'll inform the board of that as well. The last couple of things that I want to say, we've talked a lot about the ELA curriculum. I will say that has been the most in-depth review of curriculum that in my 28 years of being in the district that I've ever witnessed personally. The amount of work that they did building the rubric to determine what we were going to evaluate that on was a huge process. But then taking that rubric and putting it in the hands of our teachers and having them work through that process over the last year, and then having teachers volunteer their classrooms for 3 separate days for 3 different companies to come in and teach a lesson from beginning to end. That's pretty unheard of. That was actually the selection of our new ESL, our new ELA curriculum was our KESA goal for this year. And as we had representatives from KSDE come in and visit with us, and we kind of told them what that looked like, they were really, really impressed with that too. That was something that they'd not heard of either. And so I think that just shows the hard work that we've picked to try to make sure that we've selected the best curriculum that we can. Last thing I would say is Friday was, weather-wise was a pretty unique day. So I just wanted to kind of visit with you all and publicly share. I think we were getting information and trying to make decisions in real time with the information that we had. We pulled together about 9 o'clock, 9:30ish, I think it was. Visited with Dodge City Weather, National Weather Service, and kind of got that most of the weather was going to start letting up around between 3 and 4. So around the time dismissal was going to go, that would allow plows to come out. Everything was going to clear up. So we went on that. When we got done with that, I drove out to Plymouth at about 10, and the road out there was pretty good. Things were good, but about shortly after that, Drew and Steve went out, and when I come back in, they were leaving to go check other places. And by the time they got back, things were just happening really quick. Well, then it became really the kids were probably safer with us in school where they had food, they had heat, they were with adult supervision. My biggest fear about releasing kids in the middle of the day is our latchkey kids that get to their house. What if they can't get in? What if they're locked out? That's always a concern for me. And so I felt like our kids were safer with us. But it was a stressful time. I think our Our grounds crew did a phenomenal job doing the best they could to clean the schools. Our transportation fleet was phenomenal. I was really impressed. We thought we were gonna be really, really behind. We ended the night only about 20, 30 minutes. I think the last bus came in about 20 or 30 minutes later than what they usually would. So, all in all, I felt like we did a pretty good job, but, definitely a stressful time. And there was a lot of people that really stepped up and did a great job that day. And I just want to recognize all of those folks.
I had a parent tell me that they felt bad for you. They're like, if you would have went with the forecast and closed school and then it was.
We would have got nothing, I guarantee you.
That everyone would be mad because you closed school and it was 60 degrees. And the weather team actually got it fairly right this time, which is unusual. And so.
Well, and it just kept getting worse as the day went on. You know, they were supposed to be done at 5, and then we were under weather system until 7. And then it was, by the time I got home, they extended it all the way to 9 o'clock.
I think that a lot of parents did appreciate if you want to come and pick your child up, that's fine. They won't be considered unexcused. And so I know several people that took advantage of that, so.
And I think for me, that's gonna be in bad weather like that, when we make the decision to have school in session. Parents know their kids and they need to do what they're most comfortable with. I believe that the kids are safer in school, but as a parent, you have every right to come get your kid if you feel like it's better to get them. And yeah, it will always be an excused absence when they do that.
I really appreciated that you did kind of the staggered release times for the high school, because that's always one of the, like, my concerns is these teenage drivers in the snow and, yeah, so I thought that was a good idea. I don't know how it went in.
It wasn't for Steve and Drew, we wouldn't have done that, but that's the benefit of having people that work at different levels making decisions, because that's something I would have never thought of, but.
It was just something we started a couple of years ago when we had a similar situation to get the inexperienced drivers off of the loop. But it was safe before the parents came in and you had those groups mixing. It's just, we can get some of those cars out of the way. And
Before the inexperienced parents get.
Before the inexperienced.
Some of us do.
Yeah, but yeah, I think they sent the juniors and seniors, dismissed them at about 2:40 so they could get to their vehicles and get going before the freshmen and sophomores were dismissed, who are mostly going to be picked up by parents, not driving yet, before that happened at 3. So that was Mr. Mang's call.
We're not gonna tell you who are in the most wrecks at the high school. It's probably not who you think it is.
I will tell you too that, yesterday, my wife and I were driving around town and I just was checking on schools to see what kind of condition things were in. And our plant facilities, our maintenance crew and our grounds crews, they were already out clearing what was left of. Because after everybody went home, I mean, they did a good job of getting things off when we left, but we still had 4 or 5 more hours that we weren't supposed to have that night of continued snow and wind and things like that. And so while most of it had melted off by Sunday afternoon, there was still some areas that needed some attention, and Brendan had his crews out and they were getting after it Sunday afternoon.
One thing that you'll notice about snow removal now that's a little bit different in the past. We used to contract out most of our snow removal. One thing that Brandon has done a very good job of, one of the things that he's done a nice job of, he's done a lot of those things, but really getting our fleet ready for snow so we don't have to contract out snow removal, especially we still will contract out snow removal if it's bad at the high school, but most of our smaller places, we can handle ourselves now, and that saves us a ton of money.
Would we have budgeted for that in the past? It was like 85.
I know like one time it was over $12,000 like per occurrence.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got.
Right, item H, next meeting of the Board of Education will be board retreat on Thursday, January 15th, 6 PM here in the board meeting room.
Randy, can I say one more
Yes,
thing?
sir.
I'm sorry. I meant to tell you guys, Thursday night we'll have dinner for you all. And then we'll have breakfast burritos Friday morning. So we'll get everybody fed too. I meant to tell you that, sorry.
Okay. Right, the executive session's been removed, so I'll look for adjournment.
President, I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
So that could be
Right.
anything. Randy, I don't know, my comments till 11 on.
I believe that's right. I think it's 3 hours.